Hi, I'm Robert Dudd of ChannelBuzz.ca, joined once again by Sean Massey of StorageCraft. Sean, thanks for taking the time.
Thanks, Rob.
When last we chatted, you touched on the idea of recoverability, which I know is both a management or a mantra, for StorageCraft, and something of a product suite as well. Can you elaborate a little on what recoverability means to you and to StorageCraft?
Absolutely. Our StorageCraft has our recoverability solution, and there's four components of that lead to really the ability to recover. And those four components are, it always starts with a very good backup. So the backup has to be reliable. It's got to be, stable and accessible. So we have a good backup, and then from there, we need to be able to manage. We need to be able to manage the chain. We need to be able to manage the backups of all the servers. And then you have to have some type of offsite strategy. And that offsite strategy could be replicating to the solution provider's data center, or maybe if the end user business has more than one location, we can use one of those locations as their destination, or we even have our own cloud services. And in Canada, our cloud services, all the data stays in Canada, and that's really most important from there, but it's the ability then to replicate and have that offsite strategy that's out there. And then finally, no disaster recovery plan is complete without adequate testing. And you have to be able to make sure that all the components are working the way they should be, and the only way that you can do that is by being able to test and make sure that you're able to recover from. And those four components really make up that recoverability solution, and that is our mantra. And that's what we're about at StorageCraft, is the ability to recover. It's not about backup, it's about recovery.
How have you seen the business evolve? How are you seeing the business changing? You touch on cloud, you touch on some of these ways. What do you see as sort of the current state of the art, and where do you see it going in terms of where VARs and MSPs are taking their DR or business continuity practices?
Yeah, with the cloud that's out there, and certainly there's a lot of buzz in the cloud, and there's a lot of vendors now that are entering the cloud space. And they're trying to do services and even application hosting and whatnot that's there. One solid, consistent thing that the cloud has been proven on, and that will definitely be sticking around, is really storage. Is this backup and recovery? Being able to replicate offsite to this cloud, because what that is that's it's not an insurance policy really, but it's a safety feature for your data, to be able to have it in a different location that's there. So where are we going with that? Certainly, I think we're seeing a large trend towards managed services, and certainly the solution providers. If you're not in managed services, I worry for you, because you might be a little bit behind the game now, but this whole idea of being able to be proactive with all of your services. And then we're also seeing a large amount of thought about disaster recovery. And part of it is that even really small companies often are doing business with larger companies. Right. Like in the States, it might be Fortune 500 companies. And these Fortune 500 companies do not want their business to be affected by a disaster that happens from the small company because they weren't prepared. And so we're seeing a large trend of folks really engaging that, because they have to submit their plans to these larger companies of their customers to be able to make sure that they meet the requirements and are going to keep that business continuity going.
Beyond ideas of data residency, when you're talking about cloud, Canadian data staying in Canada, which you touched on earlier, what do you see as some of the driving factors for customers and for MSPs when they're positioning, which of those remote backup options to take?
Well, with the StorageCraft suite of products, the recoverability solution, we are what we call image-based, meaning that we're basically taking a picture of your hard drive, whether it's a server hard drive or desktop or whatever. That sets us apart from a lot of other, cloud backup vendors that are out there that, they might be taking files. So when you're backing up, you're choosing what files and folders, this piece, that piece. Well, and that's great if all you lose is just your Word documents. The problem is that when people have a disaster, they're losing their entire system.
Right.
And so then you're looking at a very prolonged timeline of being able to rebuild, and then you have to bring everything down from the cloud and put on top of that, and it's all just the file-based systems, where for our suite of products and our value proposition with Shadow Protect is that we're able to have a very simple way of actually resurrecting that server and bringing it up. And you can bring it up in our cloud within minutes, and that's really kind of the cool thing about disaster recovery of being able to have that type of thing where disaster recovery overlaps a little bit in the diagram of business continuity, where we can have machines up and running within minutes.
I think for many VARs and MSPs, backup data, disaster recovery, business continuity has been a great on-ramp for managed services and even the cloud. The side effect of that, perhaps, though, is there are many, perhaps even a vast majority of solution providers who are offering something in that regard right now. It's a crowded space. How do I, as a solution provider, differentiate my offering from everyone else's?
Really, the short answer is going to be having good deliverables. And let me expand on that a little bit. Back in the day, and I'm probably going to date myself by coming up with these different operating systems, but Novell 3.12, Novell 4.11, Windows for Workgroups, Windows NT 3.51, and then NT 4.0. There weren't very many applications, network applications that were on there.
Right.
At the time, it was just files, and often folks, you need to back those up just in case something happens, right? It would be painful if folks would lose their files, but it's often just their Word and Excel. Exactly. The problem has come where we've taken the backup for granted. And then over the years, it's just, we need a backup product. Well, StorageCraft is not a backup product, it's a recovery product. And so what we've done is to be able to have the ability to test and spin up these machines, so that can be a part of your deliverable process. It's not about, when you think about back in the early 1990s, it was just files. But now we have CRMs, we have line of business apps, we have electronic medical records, we've got a whole host of different, client server using SQL type of things, and of course email and time clocks. And so when a system goes down, it really takes the whole business down. And the ability for the solution provider to be able to demonstrate that through their quarterly business reviews or semi-annual business reviews, and even to spin up the machine very quickly, that is a deliverable. That's going to set them apart from other solution providers that are out there that just set up the backup and they forget about it. And you should never forget about your backup because ultimately you need to recover, and to demonstrate that is a pretty powerful tool.
Show them how quickly it can back up.
Absolutely.
Great insights. Thank you very much.